Shut up and sit down.
Hello friends, and welcome to the Psychology of, where we look at the psychology of video games. Today's episode, the psychology of Dota, Heroes of the Storm 2. Wait, what? The psychology of Dota, Heroes of the Storm 2. Yeah, that's what it says. I'm sorry folks, it seems like my scripts for Dota 2 and Heroes of the Storm have been jumbled together. It seems like part of the way through I forgot which one I was working on and included sections from the other. I think I can still manage it though. After all, why not? A non-gamer couldn't tell the two apart anyway, and both games are MOBAs and feature nearly identical mechanics, settings, strategies, and characters. Okay then, let's get started. What is the goal of Dota 2 and Heroes of the Storm? The goal for both games is the same: to destroy the opposing team's core in Heroes of the Storm, or their ancient in Dota 2. What are the game mechanics being used? The game mechanics are also very much the same, but there are a couple of exceptions. Both games feature 2 teams of 5 players, one game board with 3 lanes and creatures called creeps or minions that travel down the lanes to provide cannon fodder for both teams. Both games have towers in the lanes that the players have to destroy to make progress into the opposing team's side of the board. And both games have mercenaries that spawn on the map for the characters to interact with. Finally, both teams have a leveling system. And here is where the similarities end for a minute. Heroes of the Storm uses a leveling system that focuses on the team as a whole, where Dota 2 levels each player individually. Another difference is how each game chooses to boost the stats of its players. Heroes of the Storm gives the players perks at specific benchmark levels, and Dota 2 lets the players earn gold to purchase item upgrades. But the biggest difference in game mechanics is that Heroes of the Storm uses map objectives. These objectives range from items to collect, to shrines to activate, or enemies to defeat, and both teams fight over them to gain a substantial advantage. Dota 2 doesn't give an easy way to gain an upper hand. Dota is a lot more about biding your time and capitalizing on an opponent's mistake. What does Dota 2 and Heroes of the Storm ask the player to do? All games in the MOBA genre have the same requirement of players. The players have to understand their characters' strengths and weaknesses, and use them effectively to push down the opposing team's lanes, gank opposing players, and gain experience to overpower the other team. Why is this a challenge to players? At the start of the game, a player has to get to the lane that will best suit their character's attributes. Then, they have to advance and keep their position in the lane while fending off enemy creeps or minions and sparring with opposing players. Then, the player has to keep track of opportunities to complete map objectives or capitalize on an opportunity to kill opposing players, while also keeping on the lookout for times when retreat is necessary. As if that weren't enough, the player needs to be able to do battle effectively while near his own towers and base, and also when near the enemy's towers and base. Some characters can turn the tide of battle depending on where they are in the lane. As the game progresses, the player needs to know when it's best to stick with their group or head to a lane and continue to gather XP. The player also needs to be choosing perks, upgrades, and buffs as they are available that will form combos or build on each other and add to the player's presence while in battle. We could go on talking about the challenges in choice of character, differences in character builds, team balance, correct use of mercenaries, strategies for battle, and on and on and on. But let's jump to the next question. What is happening in the mind of the player during all this? Let's take a second to talk about your mind. As we discussed in a previous episode, your mind has 2 parts: the conscious, which is you, the rational, strategic decision maker that crushes all who dare enter his lane, and the subconscious, which is also you, but it's the part that you have little to no control over. The subconscious is the part responsible for memory retrieval, snap judgments, intuition, threat assessment, and more. With Dota 2 and Heroes of the Storm, both parts of your mind are being put to the test. When playing either game, the player must switch between multiple tasks rapidly, and in so doing, adjust strategy, prioritize objectives and goals, track team members, monitor the opposing team's progress down the lane, and choose items and upgrades. It's rather like juggling, which is hard enough. But try juggling bowling pins and reciting the Gettysburg Address while a very large man punches you in the face. But what the player is really doing is exercising their cognitive flexibility, which is the term used for how well the player can switch between multiple tasks. During the game, a player's primary focus is on the activity in their lane, but during the game, many things happen that require the player's immediate attention. For example, when a teammate calls for help, the player has to stop thinking about their lane and focus on the situation of their teammate. This will require the conscious part of their mind to answer some questions. Where is my teammate? What is their situation? Is there something I can do to help them? And can I get there in time to help? The answers for all of this comes in the form of information supplied by the subconscious. Sorting through all of this may take only a few seconds, but while the conscious is busy, it has completely forgotten about what its character is doing. As a side note, some people mistakenly call cognitive flexibility multitasking. Multitasking is being able to store, track, interpret, and act upon information coming from multiple sources all at the same time. This is not something that everybody can do, especially while playing a game as intense as Dota 2 or Heroes of the Storm, or driving and talking on a cell phone. And in actuality, only people known as supertaskers can multitask. How can the player use this information to their advantage? Understanding how limited our minds are to deal with multiple sources of information leads to advantages in strategy and prioritizing. When you accept the fact that you can't deal with everything all at once, the player is freed to focus on 2 or 3 things and do them with great efficiency and skill. If you're playing a tank character, then your focus won't be on lane control as much as it will be on killing opposing players. If you're a support class character, you will be focused less on team combat and more on gaining experience and aiding your teammates with your special abilities. Narrowing your focus to a few specific things will also let you get the most out of perks and items you choose. Selecting health upgrades for your tank, or reducing cooldown times for your healer, will boost your effectiveness in those areas and let you aid your team in battle or in your lane all the more. Thank you for watching the Psychology of Dota, Heroes of the Storm 2. Join us again next time for more of the Psychology of.
Shut up and sit down.